Welcome back to another episode of Cee Natural with me, your hostess with the mostest, Courtney Lynn Wiles. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think we have a really fun show in store for you, so I thank you very much for being here. Of course, before we get started, I have to know, how was your weekend? What did you do over the weekend? Did you do something fun? Did you get to barbecue? It's still summertime, so hopefully you did something fun. As for me, I had a pretty relaxing weekend. I love when I get a weekend where it's just relaxing. I did get an opportunity to go to my church, though, for the first time. We had church in our, we have a pavilion behind the church, and we had an open air service is what I called it. It was really, really great. So it was the second week that we've been able to do that. And it's just so good to be able to, see people and just be together with people that you really like. So that was really a lot of fun. Okay, so now it's time to get our show started. So next up, our question of the day and our story to go with it. So our question for our story, link to our story today, revolves around crazy things that happen at rehearsals. So it's not really a question per se, but what are some of the things that happen at rehearsals that are just, you kind of sit there and go, okay. So as usual, I have two examples for you. One is from one of the pay to sing shows that I did, and one is for a no pay, no fee show, both of which are really funny. And these are both about pianists. So one of the things that singers have to really realize is that pianists are artists also. Their whole purpose in life is not to sit there and just play the piano for you, and that's, what all they do. A lot of times they are composers, they are conductors, they are involved in their own musical pursuits. They do a lot of different things. And sometimes I think you can push a pianist to the edge. And when you do, what's that thing? When dogs bite or whatever, not that they're dogs because they're not, but when pianists have had it. So in this particular case, I was singing with one of the pay to sings, and they had hired a pianist for this particular performance. And I had never seen this woman before, which I thought was a little odd. So she was never practicing with us. She was never, in rehearsals with us or anything. So I don't know if the person who was supposed to be there wasn't available or what happened. But anyway, so this woman comes in, and she played rather well. I mean, most pianists for the most part play pretty well if you're in New York, and we were. So she is playing hard rep because this was Aida. We were doing Aida, and it was really that it's a lot of work on the piano. It is not easy, and so we played the first. We did the first act, and you can kind of feel when something's not right. And so this one of the, I don't know if this guy was the artistic director, only because I just can't remember, but he kept going over to her and he kept saying things to her, and some of which was while she was playing. And I don't know if he was telling her about tempos. I don't know what he was doing, but it was like she was kind of looking at him, wasn't really saying anything. So then we go into Act 2, and Act 2 of Aida is probably the hardest part of the show, because that's when you've got your full chorus on there, you've got all your principals, you've got everybody on there, singing is all over the place, and that piano is just, if you're a pianist, you can end up with like getting cramps in your hands trying to play this. It's really not easy. And so here we are, we're in Act 2. And this person is still like, she's trying to play and they're still kind of like saying stuff to her. And I truly do believe that he was trying to give her tempos, but we didn't have a conductor and he wasn't identified as a conductor. Okay. And I don't believe, like I said, a lot of pianists are conductors themselves. So I don't believe she thought she was going to be conducted or anything else for that matter. And so she's playing and we're singing and, you know, whatever, things are getting crazy, crazy, crazy. And so the act ends. And at the end of the act, this woman pushes out from the piano, gets up, starts screaming at the top of her lungs. Now, mind you, we are in a space, we're in a small space. In fact, what we are, we're in a piano store. It's a place called Piano. And so the audience, which basically was made up of my friends and family, is still there. We're all still on the makeshift, you know, stage. She gets up and starts screaming at this guy. Oh my gosh, just literally going up and down him about the fact that he was like bothering her or saying something to her while she was trying to play. And I don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, honey, this woman took her stuff and walked out. She walked out. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, is she coming back? Oh my gosh, how are we going to do the rest of the show? She doesn't come back. Like, is she coming back? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what happened to this? I mean, she was through with a capital T, honey. She had it and she walked out. And so this other person ran after her, ended up running after her. And I don't know if they offered to pay her more money or what they did, but they were able to coax her to come back. She was literally on her way home. She was just quitting. Like, that's it, I quit. You know, that's the end. So I was cracking up. That was the first time I'd seen that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So rogue pianist, crazy pianist number 1. Now, here comes crazy story number 2. This was in a no pay, no fee. We are also in the middle of rehearsal. And what happened was the person that was supposed to be our pianist had a conflict and they couldn't make it. So they had to hire someone to come and to play the rehearsal. And again, you know, we're in New York. If you hire a pianist to play, the odds of them not being able to play the rep is small. I mean, it's really small because everybody there is really, really very good and very accomplished. So rehearsal, I think, was supposed to start at like, I want to say 7 o'clock. It was during the week, so like 7. So we're sitting here and we're waiting. This person's late, you know. So we've got our assistant conductor who's there. He's ready to start the rehearsal. We actually kind of started going through the motions because this person was late. They were, I'd say, a good half an hour late. And so in walks this guy. And he comes in and he has a purse, and it's a woman's purse that he is carrying. And I'm just putting it out there, and this is not being disparaging against anyone. I'm just describing how this person walked in. He literally sashayed in, okay? But it wasn't that he sashayed in with his woman's purse. It was that he was a half an hour late and he sashayed in. Instead of coming in urgently, acting like, oh my God, I'm a half an hour late. Let me get my behind on this piano and pray these people still pay me. Okay, I mean, he's just walking in like he's on time. So you're kind of sitting there like, okay. So he comes in, kind of doesn't say anything to anybody. Finally, somebody goes over and says, basically, well, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm the pianist or whatever. Everybody's like, oh God, you know. Meantime, I'm on stage. So I'm working on stage, whatever. And the assistant conductor, of course, goes over to him and says, hey, man, you're late. Get on the piano. This is where we are. So we're on page such and such of the score. Well, the guy didn't bring a score. He didn't bring a score. He didn't bring the music. So I said, well, so the assistant conductor said, well, weren't you told that we were working on this opera? He goes, well, yes. He said, well, that meant bring the score with you. Bring your score with you. We don't have just extra scores hanging out. Like the only score that was available was really the one the conductor was. He needs to use his, So finally they're like, oh, does someone have their score? And one of us on stage, one of the singers had it and said, well, I hope you can play off of it, And so someone gives him the score. And so, he's like, oh, right now, the assistant conductor is really annoyed at this point. And rightfully so. I mean, come on. This is really ridiculous. You're late, and then you don't tell people you're there. You don't have the music. Finally, though, we get him set up. We're ready to go. Okay, we're on this page, this measure, whatever. So he gets ready to start conducting, and he's like, okay, I'm going to conduct. So, pay attention to me. And the guy's like, okay. And he gets ready to play the piano, and he couldn't play. He literally could not play the piano. He was trying to do the music, and it was almost as though, he might have, I don't even know if the guy went to school to be a pianist. I mean, when I tell you he really couldn't play, he really could not play. And of course, this is after being called on the phone, being briefed on what he would have to play and everything else. And it was like, and his response was, well, I didn't practice that part. So the assistant conductor was like, what is going on? Like, oh my gosh, he was at his wit's end. So he just asked the guy, look, can you play this or not? And he's like, well, I'm doing the best that I can, whatever. So they get into this argument about him being able to play. And the guy just gets up from the piano and just turns his head and just walks off. He just walks off. And we're all sitting there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what happened? And we were sitting there just in shock. And somebody yelled after him, I hope you don't think you're going to get paid. I was cracking up. I said, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is terrible. And the assistant conductor, instead of conducting, which is what he was supposed to do, ended up having to play the piano so that we could do the rest of the rehearsal. So these are crazy things that can happen in rehearsal. So those two little examples are my little story for today. I hope you enjoyed them. As usual, I always have a song for you. So today we are going to do another song from a musical, and I hope you really enjoy it. This is So in Love. Strange day, but true when I'm close to you, dear. The stars fill the sky. I hope you enjoyed that selection. Well, this is the end of our show, and I have a couple of reminders for you. The first one is, remember, there will be no show next week, but you can always come back to this YouTube channel and watch some of the other shows that we have uploaded onto our channel. Next week will be a great week for you to not only catch up on episodes you've missed of Cee Natural, but check out Wild Diva Music Fest. There's Summerfest and there's Winterfest. Check both of those out next week as well. And while you're here, as I always say, please make sure that you click the subscribe button, you ding that notification bell, and of course, like this video so that we know what you liked. And when you subscribe and when you hit that notification bell, that means that you will be notified of every video that is uploaded on the Wild Diva Media and Music channel. Not just new Cee Natural episodes, but new episodes of every show that we are doing. And of course, as I always say, please tell your family and friends about our channel. We really are trying to get the word out and let everyone know what we're doing. Close and far and here and everywhere. We really want to make sure that we are reaching as many people as we can with our shows. Okay? So with that said, everybody have a great weekend this weekend. Have a wonderful week next week. And I will see you next time on Cee Natural. Take care.